This is Group 11 of Intro to Comparative Religions podcast on Islam in Eastern European countries. So the following podcast will be about Islam in Albania. With a population of just over 3 million, Albania is located in southeastern Europe. It borders the Adriatic Sea and the Ionian Sea, and it's located between Greece to the south and Montenegro and Kosovo to the north. In physical comparison, Albania is slightly smaller than the size of Maryland. Albania is comprised of 82.6% Albanians, 0.9% Greeks, 1% other, and 15.5% unspecified. 98.8% of people speak Albanian, which is an Indo-European language stemming from Greek and Latin, with 56.7% of Albanians identifying as Muslim. The country's primary religion is Islam. Christians comprise 16.8% of the population, while atheists only account for 2.5%. 16.2% of the population goes unspecified, while 5.7% identify as other, and 2.1% are part of a Sufi order, Bektashi. It's important to note that all mosques and churches were closed in 1967, and all religious observances were prohibited. In November of 1990, Albania began allowing private religious practice. In Albania, religion has formed the culture with influences on art, literature, and tradition. During the 15th century, the Ottoman Empire ruled. Many citizens were converted to the religion of Islam. This caused emigration of Albanians to Christian communities, although within Albania the majority religion has been Islam since. Religious affiliation played an important role during this period. There were social, political, and economic privileges to being a Muslim under this rule, which included tax cuts. The Ottoman culture is still present in today's society. After the Albanian revolts in the Balkan War against the Turkish Empire, Albania became independent in 1912. In 1923, the population was 67.7% Muslim. After World War II, Albania became a communist nation, and in 1992, it became a democracy. Conflicts in Kosovo led to the ethnic cleansing of Albanians. One very important aspect of any religion focuses on the beliefs and values that guide a cultural group's social interactions. Through interaction, one's cultural values becomes one's paradigm, defining what is real and what is right. In Albania, Islamic cultural values focus on religion, life, intellect, family life, and wealth. In order to lead a purposeful life, one must possess a healthy body capable of working hard to provide for their family and to pray to God. Religion is a large value in Islamic communities, and the 5 pillars of Islam are followed. The 5 pillars include that there is no God but God, that one must participate in prayer 5 times a day, one must give alms to the poor community, one must make a pilgrimage to Mecca at least once in their lifetime, and that one must fast during the month of Ramadan. Since religion is a large value in Muslim communities, the 5 pillars are taken seriously and followed closely. Islamic rituals in Albania and Eastern Europe greatly reflect the rituals that Muslims around the world have. Despite the fact that for a good amount of time religion was outlawed in Albania, there were still many people practicing, enough for 70% of the Albanian population to identify as Muslim. One of the rituals that persisted during the time of religious outlaw was the use of prayer beads called tesbih. The tesbih is similar to the rosary in Christianity. People use it to aid themselves in prayer. Aside from this ritual, they also follow the 5 pillars of Islam, which include the acknowledging Muhammad is the only worthy messenger of God, Salah, prayer 5 times a day, Zakah, almsgiving, Psalm, fasting during the month of Ramadan, and the Hajj, or pilgrimage to Mecca. Although these are rituals that the whole community of Islam practices, they are also practiced by Albanians and other Eastern Europeans. Today, Islam is practiced by 59.9% of the population, making Islam the dominant religion in the country, and the only Islamic dominant nation in Europe. Currently, Albania is unique compared to other Islamic nations due to its peaceful atmosphere concerning religious coexistence. It is known that in the capital of Albania, Tirana, traditional clothing worn by men and women of the Islamic world are not mandatory. Headscarves, burqas, and other clothing that are enforced by Sharia law in other countries are not enforced here. People wear what they want and do as they please. In the realm of education, a popular movement known as the Gulenist movement is currently taught and stressed in many of the educational institutions. The movement promotes Islam's compatibility with science and democracy of the West. In 2011, the nation's first ever Islamic university was created. I am totally not going to say this right, but Bader University is a co-ed university that has bachelor programs in many fields. The vision of this new university is to be an important player in the development, both regionally and internationally, of higher education and research. The nation of Albania represents a unique nation that practices Islam, but represents a more tolerant and progressive nation that promotes education, equality, and religious freedom. So, thank you so much for joining us today. That was Group 11's presentation on Islam in Albania. I hope you enjoyed and I hope you learned something new.